officials now believe that a full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine could come within the next 48 hours. For reaction to this grim warning, I want to get straight to Congressman Tim Burchett from House Foreign Affairs. Congressman, good evening and nice to see you tonight. Let's go ahead and start with Ukraine declaring a state of emergency, and also John Kirby offering a briefing today and essentially laying out a very grim picture when he was asked if there was any possibility that Vladimir Putin was just posturing here, just trying to show, put on a grand show to show his force, his might. Kirby definitively said no. Your thoughts?
Well, there's no telling what he's going to do. I mean, he has the world's attention right now. He's an egomaniac. He's a dictator, and that's what they do. I think what we better start thinking about is as you stated earlier, is the price at the pump. America needs to. We should have quit. We shouldn't have quit producing oil. We were an energy exporter under the Trump administration. Now under Biden, we closed down the Keystone. Keystone produced 830,000 barrels a day, and currently we're using over 595,000 barrels a day from Russia. So. We played right into Putin's hands. We need a different energy policy right now, and the president needs to wake up and get off all this wokeism with everything, because this is what it's cost us. It's going to cost us our energy freedom if we're not careful.
You bring up an excellent point, and of course, I've been saying this for a while as a student of the energy markets for a long time, that Vladimir Putin has essentially seized this moment, because energy is not just an issue of survival here in this country. It's also an issue of national security, and this is exactly how it plays out when your enemy sees that you are weak at home when it comes to your resources.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, it goes back to Afghanistan. It goes back to last March when they started this movement towards Ukraine, and we didn't do anything about it. Matter of fact, we went the exact opposite direction by all of our woke policies and this transportation bill that's a nightmare that doesn't address any of these problems that we have. And currently, if we had a time machine, of course, we could go back and correct it, but we don't. So, we should have been supplying all of our friends in Europe with oil, and currently now they're going to have to rely on Russia and Vladimir Putin and his cronies who are getting filthy rich off of it. If we had the power now, I would say turn the spigots on, get back in the energy business, America, and shut Russia down and bankrupt them. And we could do that without firing a shot. Yeah. And it's just good old honest capitalism that would do it.
And the scenario that you're setting out here is exactly what Putin has been banking on, which is essentially that these sanctions won't impact him and the world needs his energy. So whether he's sending it to Europe or he's sending it to us, there's black market, takers as well. He knows that he'll get paid for it. And so he's sitting actually in a pretty good position. I want to talk about these sanctions for a moment, because right now it's sort of the first level that the president is trying on some banks and financial institutions, on some of the oligarchs there. The Russians don't seem to be fazed by this.
Right. No, ma'am. And it's a joke, too. We need to dig a little deeper, and I'm glad you brought that up. We're hitting like their fifth and eighth largest banks. If we want to hit them, hit their top banks. Shut them down right now. And we could do that if we had a leader in the White House who would demonstrate some strong leadership. But currently, right now, we're just playing into Putin's hands by these so-called tariffs and other things that they're putting out there that are going to have very little effect. And who it's going to hurt is going to hurt the poor Russian people and not the oligarchs. It's not going to hurt Putin. He's going to be eating caviar up at the Kremlin tonight, I'm sure, with all his buddies laughing at America. It's a country with a GDP of maybe Italy or Canada, and they're currently got the world by the tail because of poor leadership in this country.
Well, it's interesting because you mentioned bloodshed, and I want to go back to that briefing with John Kirby today because he laid out a grim scenario of how he thinks this will play out, and I want you to listen.
Mr. Putin has a lot of capability at his disposal right now. As I've said earlier, they are ready to go, and it won't be bloodless. There will be suffering, there will be sacrifice, and all of that must and should be laid at his feet.
So he's saying there will be bloodshed. You're right. It will hurt the Russian people. The Ukrainians will suffer as well. And there are many out there who essentially say that had President Biden been better at his foreign policy, this could have been avoided.
Yes, ma'am. If you go back to under the Obama administration where Biden was allegedly at the table, Syria, remember that line in the sand?
I do remember.
That really was
the fake red line that they trampled over and nobody said a word.
It was a finish line that they ran through not once but twice, if you remember all the details. And Putin understands that, and he knows who he's dealing with. And again, we send Kamala Harris over there, and I can't believe that she can't find our southern border, much less the border between the Ukraine and Russia. And Putin, he just slaps. He treats our president like like he's a schoolyard bully and just picking on the littlest kid on the playground. And we take it, and it's unfortunate because this is so preventable, and it could be, and we could stop it if he just say tomorrow we're gonna start drilling again, we're gonna start producing oil, we're gonna start doing all those things that kept us as energy exporters, but unfortunately,
and kept us number one. We were the world's number one producer, and it was not only good for business and consumption here at home, it was good for national security. Congressman Burchett, I only have one more minute with you, but I do want to mention this because I've got this Gallup poll, and it shows Biden's approval ratings on certain issues, and all of these numbers are plummeting. Coronavirus, 47%, foreign affairs, 40%, Russia's situation, 36%, economy, which is suffering here at home, 37%. How much lower do you think these numbers can go?
I'd say to the bottom. He's got to reach up to get the bottom at this point. But you got to ask yourself, when is Congress going to pull off from him? And so that's the question. When will Congress pull off? When will Congress pull off of support and turn on him, his own party? So that's what we're waiting on.
Waiting on that, and a lot overseas as well. Congressman Tim Burchett, wonderful to see you tonight. Really appreciate your insight. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay.